up, YouTube? This is your girl, Miss Swaggy, and this is the coming back to you with a new video. So, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning to my channel, welcome. This video today is gonna be about my story time. The time when God told me to leave my job. If you're looking forward to watching this video, then continue watching. First off, a lot of you may not know I'm a very spiritual person. A lot of my closest friends probably don't even know that how spiritual I am. That's to tell you, because I like to keep that very sacred. It's very sacred to me. This is really big for me to even talk about this right now. Coming into this new job, I was kind of alone, feeling kind of down or whatever, because, you know, life happens, and I was looking for a job. So I became kind of desperate. I was in desperation for a new job. So I would pray on it. Oh God, please, like, hold a girl down, because I need a JOB, you know what I'm saying? And coming off of my previous job, I, you know, was stressed or whatever, going through some things, you know, life happens. Flash forward, I get the job. I prayed on it. I thanked God. I was like, thank you for this opportunity. But later on, I find out that God didn't tell me to take the job. So I come into this job full force, coming in happy, like, yes, I got a new job, whatever. You know how you get into a new job, you feel so happy. But during this time, I felt very, very down. Like, something told me that I wasn't supposed to be there. But I remember there were times I would get home and I would, like, complain about being there, but I continue to be there because, you know, that was my bread and butter. You feel me? So it was my bread and butter, so I felt like I had to stay. I was deeply reading the Bible. Like, I was really getting in tune with God. Like, I wanted to hear his confirmation. God was allowing me to hear things that was going on in the job. It gave me a sense of animosity that I didn't want to have. There would be times where I would get so frustrated, I would leave to go to the bathroom and start crying, and it was a lot. But I was going through so much stress at the job. Like, I wasn't really getting the money I was supposed to. The job basically was ripping you off. When you have a relationship with God, he sends you confirmation. So prayer is very powerful. Be careful what you pray for. I remember the day before, 2 days before, I asked him if he would give me a sense of peace. And God was basically telling me to be patient within this time. God will send you through times where if you don't learn that lesson, you will keep going in the same situations over and over and over until you get something out of it. Long story short, I had a lot of built up anger, and this really taught me how to be patient and how to trust God's process and to trust his judgment. And if you just allow him into your life, he can really help you. He can really change you and give you something way better. During this time, he sent people to me for confirmation, and God will give you that confirmation. He's there for you. And I know a lot of you guys are wondering, like, what did he tell you? What did he sound like? What is this? Like, is it an audible voice? It's kind of like your inner voice, if that makes sense, or your inner conscience. Is how he speaks to me. He also speaks to me through dreams. On my last day, I thought that I needed to know that he was with me and to give me that sense of peace, and he did. The last day that I thought I left my job, I felt the sense of peace. I felt so good to be leaving, and I didn't know what was in store for me in the future, but I left it all in God's hands. Even after that, I prayed on it. I told him to give me the sense of peace, and I still went and tried to go the next day, the last day officially for the job. So basically, the job had like these probational points or whatever, that once you go over, it's like that's it, like you can't come back. And I remember this was my last point, and I told myself that I was gonna wake up and go early. So at the time, my boyfriend told me not to go. My mom told me not to go. God told me not to go because he already gave me the peace the day before. And I still tried to go because I'm thinking, I need money in my pockets. You know, God, you know, I need money in my pockets. Like, the mind is really something. Like, it really is. Like, we don't, sometimes it's like we want to trust God, but we don't want to sacrifice. And when we sacrifice, you don't know how much better blessings you will get if you just trust him. So I still try to go. I left early. My mom was like, I thought you weren't going. I ended up going, and I never made it. I never made it to work because, surprisingly, I got on the train, right? I got on the train. I was on my way to work, and I never made it to work because I was late. And because it's so funny, because it's like I already was on my last point. God knew I was on my last point, and he knew if I wasn't gonna get there on time, it made no sense, because it was the last day of the probational period, and that would have meant that I would have been gone anyways. So I trusted God in this process, and I was like, I remember saying in my head, like, God, please just get me to work, just get me to work, just get me to work. And it's like, he already done told me not to go. He gave me the sense of peace to know that it's gonna be okay after, and I still tried to go. And long story short, I ended up not going. And I remember the train was delayed. This is a train that never gets delayed. This day, it decided to be delayed. Out of all the days, it decided to be delayed that day. And I remember saying in my head, like, after a while, I just, like, gave in. And that's the good thing about God, that once you let go and you just let him in, he will pick up where you end. I let go. And I said, you know what, God? If this is what it is, I hear you. I understand. I'm going back home. Just get me to the next stop. You know what I'm saying? Just get me to the next stop, and I'll turn right back around, you know? And no funny, like, a couple of minutes later, the train started moving again. Mind you, this train was underneath for like 15 minutes, no lie. And as soon as I thought that, the train pulled off, and I got off, and because I had to be obedient to God, I went back home. And I remember my mom asked me, like, Ash, what happened? And I was just like, God got this. I didn't know what was next for me. I didn't know if I was going to get a job after. I didn't know what it meant, but God will provide. And I believed strongly that God will provide. And he did. 2 days later, I got a call for a job, and it was a management position. And I never knew that I would be qualified for a management position, but because God is so good, and because of where he's leading me in my sense of purpose, and every day I'm striving for the sense of purpose, he's teaching me how to be a leader. Because what he's called me to do is to be a leader and to speak to the people about him. And he gave me something better than what I had. That's how good he is. Don't block your blessings by not listening, by being disobedient. If you'd like to see more videos on this and how God speaks to me, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. This is the Ashley Show. Thanks, guys. Until next time.